I just tried to drink far too much tea, far too quickly. That was stupid. Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of Rich T Racing. I am James Johnson. I'm joined once again by James Derrick and James Pritchard Wood, who is also known as P-Dubs. Hello everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Very enthusiastic. It's what we like to see in the modern game. But in today's edition of Rich T Racing, we're going to be doing a sort of half-term report for the F1 2019 season, and this is the first of two videos. This one being the best of 2019. We'll be looking at the best drivers, the best teams, and the best races. So, shall we start with P-Dubs? P-Dubs, who do you think have been the best drivers of the year so far?
Oh, Lewis Hamilton. Big sad. Don't like saying that. Arguably being the best driver this year. By arguably, I mean definitely. And then Max, number 2. That's probably it, really.
Would you have a number 3? Always good to have three.
Leclerc,
Big Charles,
obviously.
Isn't it? Big Charles. But no. In all seriousness, I'd probably say Carlos Sainz.
Do you know what? That's really funny because that is exactly my top 3 as well. Hamilton, Verstappen and Sainz. Because Hamilton has just he's been imperious, really. I mean, obviously the first 4 races were Bottas had him on. It looked like we were going for a Bottas versus Hamilton championship fight, but then since Spain, Hamilton has literally just he's dominated Bottas, and when the Mercedes has been there, it's only ever been Hamilton. So yeah, definitely for me, Hamilton number 1. And then you look at Verstappen, just what he's been doing in that Red Bull, which it's difficult to tell how good the Red Bull really is, but it seems to be still just about with the Ferrari, maybe a little bit less here and there. But even so, the fact he is challenging for second and up until the last race, what could have been in the championship fight, it's just been brilliant from him. And then, yeah, agree, Carlos Sainz, what he's been doing in McLaren is fantastic. He's comfortably ahead of Raikkonen, who's in the battle for best of the rest. So, yeah, I'd completely agree. Derek?
I disagree. Obviously.
No way.
Number 1 for me is Verstappen. I think that he's outdriven that car. Well, I mean, compared to Gasly, we don't really know yet until Albon gets in the car, but I think he's absolutely outdriven the car and has done a fantastic job, and he's definitely driver of the first half of the season. I think Hamilton is nowhere near as good as he can be. I think that he hasn't had much competition at the start of the season. So, now with Verstappen challenging him, I think he's going to end up, pulling his finger out and turning it around, kind of like last year after the summer break.
But didn't he already pull his finger out this year after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix? Because, as I said, since Spain, he is just like no one's been able to really touch him.
I don't think so. I just think that Bottas has dropped off, and Hamilton has stayed the same. I don't think that much has changed, and Bottas has had some bad luck. So Hamilton hasn't actually had to do that much to win races.
Yeah, okay. I have to admit, I was not expecting that, but I suppose fair enough.
I mean, I'm the biggest Hamilton fan, well, one of them as there is, so I think that it's quite an unbiased opinion.
Don't think I can argue with that, although I think just because of Hamilton's, nearly 70 points ahead of Bottas, I think that you can't argue that he's the best driver. Well, this half of the season anyway. We'll wait and see how Verstappen does in the second half. Might actually have a title race this year.
I think for me, my third driver as well, which is kind of random, I think would be George Russell. I think that he's, again, out-driving that Williams.
I have to say that is a very, very good shout.
Yeah, and he's outpacing Robert Kubica every race, who, okay, he's a right-handed driver and driving 70% with his left hand, but still, it's something.
To be fair, what Russell did in qualifying in Hungary was borderline a miracle. Like that was like nearly getting the Williams into Q2 was fantastic to see, and Hulkenberg can sod off as far as I'm concerned in that regard.
Yeah, and I think as well, like if you look at the interviews of him and stuff, he doesn't he's not angry that he's not challenging. You know, like he obviously beat Lando and Albon in F2 last year, and he's not frustrated that he isn't beating them. He kind of knows that he can, and he's just like, yeah, all right, when the car gets better, or if I get in a better team, then I'll beat them, and that's fine. And like that's just amazing to see from a rookie.
Completely fair enough. I hadn't even factored in George Russell, but that is a very good point indeed. Anything to add to that, Peter, before we move on to teams?
George Russell is last in the Drivers' Championship.
Poor kid.
No. To be fair, he's out-qualified Kubica in every single race, and he was just unlucky that he got beat in Germany to get that one solitary point. Although you look at Giovinazzi, he's also got 1 point as well, and he's in a much better car. So
I think we'll come on to some of those drivers in the next part when we talk about the worst of 2019. But I think so. So me and Peter are agreed that it's Hamilton, Verstappen, Sainz, and then Derek, you're going Verstappen. Are you putting Hamilton second, or are you not factoring him at all?
I don't know. I'll put him second. Yeah, all right.
So Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell. Those are our top threes for the season so far. Agreed?
That's pretty random, but yeah.
Fair enough. Right, let's move on to teams, because I think Derek, we'll start with you this time. I think I have a rough idea. I know what you're going to say. Who for you have been the best teams of 2019 so far?
Okay, so number one, of course, Mercedes. They've been on point apart from in Austria. And, Germany was a bit of an off day, but weather and stuff.
I don't think it was the team really. It was I think the only time the team let them down did wrong was when there was the Hamilton pit stop. I think it was the drivers that let Mercedes down at Germany.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so Mercedes have been absolutely on point. And then second, you have to give it to Red Bull, and more, I think, for me personally, Honda more than Red Bull, because they've pulled that around. Who knows where their speed is coming from, but it's amazing to see. And they've had 2 or 3 world record pit stops this season. You have to give them.
No, fair enough. I think they've had 2. They're now getting into the sub 2 second, which I think a while ago we were talking about. We'd never ever see that, but obviously now we are, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, it's just insane. And then third for me is McLaren. What a turnaround from last year.
Yep.
And it's just great to see them back somewhere, like they're best of the rest at the moment, and I think they'll probably stay that way. Fair enough. P-Dubs, do you agree or do you disagree? Is there another team you can think of?
I'm going to have to agree. That is word for word the exact same stuff as what I'd like to say on that matter. Mercedes obviously unbeatable apart from Austria. Ferrari let themselves down. Red Bull really coming into their own, especially with the pit stops now. I think it was 188 in Germany. Was it, or Hungary? One of the two. You can't. Well, only Williams could do anywhere near that. And then obviously McLaren, Sainz and Norris and the whole team. It's just such a change from when they had Alonso there, which is quite sad because love Alonso. But, they're just doing solidly. I mean, Sainz had 4 or 5 5th places now. Norris is coming into his own, and everything just seems to gel for them.
The only thing for me with Norris is he's still going far too aggressive at the start. I feel like I think what was it, Austria? He was trying to get to third with Hamilton, and he ended up sinking behind Gasly and Raikkonen. So he's still seemingly doing that. So I feel like he's not quite. I'm sure he'll learn, but I feel like he would have got that out of his system by now. It seems like he's still making the same mistakes.
It's his first season. What are we? We're halfway through the season, right?
Yeah.
He's got lots more races to keep going and get better, and it's still his first season. So. No, I agree. For me, top 3 teams, I'll completely agree with the 3 teams in question, but I slightly disagree in the order. I think I agree Mercedes being the best team of the year. You can't argue that they wouldn't be, but I think I'd put McLaren above Red Bull, because whilst Red Bull has been very good with one driver, they've also had a pretty poor driver, let's be honest, in the other Red Bull. It seems like that car has been fully geared
towards Max Verstappen, and they almost haven't considered to factor in Pierre Gasly. And then now that obviously Gasly's not been doing well, they've taken the decision to sack him. And for me, I still disagree with it. I still think that Gasly maybe, looking at it, they should have given him the full year, but that's how harsh they can be, and I suppose it is fair enough. For me, though, I always look for improvements in teams, and I look for where they were last year compared to where they are now. And at the moment, McLaren, they've already got more points this year than last year, than the whole of last year. That rate of improvement for me has just been absolutely fantastic. And consider they've not got the two-time world champion that is Fernando Alonso. They've only got Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. And whilst I'm not saying, when I say only Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris, the reason I say that is just because they haven't proven themselves massively. Like, Sainz has got a couple of fourth places, but he hasn't put in like a proper stellar drive throughout his career, and he's just performing so well. And you've got Lando Norris, a rookie, out-qualifying Sainz, and just a little bit off in the races. But obviously, as the year goes on, as we go into 2020, I'm sure we'll see Norris starting to beat Sainz more regularly. So it's all looking great for McLaren. That's why, for me, I would put them as the second best over Red Bull, personally.
I think I actually forgot about Gasly talking about Red Bull, which is so harsh. I'm so sorry, Gasly, but yeah. Also, if you want to hear us talk more about the Albon-Gasly arrangement, make sure to check out our video on that. There will be a link somewhere on the screen.
It will be either in that corner or that corner. I don't know which one.
Not that other corner there.
Not the other corner. No, not that corner. It's never in that corner.
Okay. Gotta make sure.
Yes. Right, so I think we all agree on teams, just a slight disagreement in order. Does anything to add to what I've said about McLaren and Red Bull?
No, I think you're spot on, actually. I think now you've explained it, I more agree with your order, just because I forgot about Gasly.
Yeah,
which is so harsh.
It is harsh, but ultimately you look at how Verstappen, the gap between Verstappen and Gasly, it can't be just because Gasly's rubbish. Because Gasly's not rubbish. I just think that car has been fully set up with Max Verstappen in mind. They've sort of put the second driver as an afterthought. Really, that's my opinion on how they set up that car for this year. But,
well, they were expecting to have Ricciardo, weren't they? Who already knew the team, already knew how the car worked. So for them, it's totally different change. So it's kind of.
I'm sticking with my order, and purely for the ruthlessness of Red Bull.
Oh, so you agree? So you think it was you completely agree with it then?
Yeah, 100%. If you want to be competing, especially you're going to go trying to go second or even first in the driver championship, you have to have the best driver. One of them's not performing. Well, they've done it before. I imagine they'll do it again in the next 10, 20 years. They'll chop and change. No issues for them. They've got to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. So Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren. Those are our three teams of the year. And I think this next part is going to be a very, very quick conversation. Best race of the year? That was the one best race of the year?
Silverstone.
This is not going to be a short conversation.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because I was going to say Austria.
What?
To be fair, it was I had to say Silverstone. It's either Silverstone or Austria. To be fair, I agree.
Not Germany.
No.
Nah, Germany was a good race, but I think in terms of just watching Leclerc and Verstappen racing, especially going.
Are you just say Austria because it's Charles Leclerc?
No, because it was just a really good race.
I think for me, right, Germany, right. Okay, it was entertaining, but I'm not sure it was like a race. Was it really? It's not like, I don't know. It wasn't really a race. Like Silverstone and Austria and Hungary as well were good races. Germany was great to watch and a laugh, but it was more of a laugh.
What's the greatest race of all time in Formula One? You're right, it's Canada 2011. What's the closest thing to Canada 2011 we've had in recent times? It was Germany.
But Button wasn't there.
Okay, yes, the racing in Silverstone and Austria was fantastic, but it's only ever the same top six as it was in Silverstone, as it was in Austria. Germany, you had a Toro Rosso and a Racing Point in P2 and P3. For the first time ever, we saw two Mercedes running outside the point. We saw a Mercedes crashing out and the world champion absolutely losing it. It was, for me, considering what Formula One currently is, unfortunately, it's just it's the same top six every time, really. To see the change, to see like McLaren, Racing Point, and Toro Rosso going for that final podium place was fantastic to see, and it just made a really pleasant change to what we've seen in recent times, and that's why I'm staggered that you've come up with these ridiculous propositions.
Yeah, but I don't think having random drivers at the front is a good. I don't think Stroll should have been fourth. It just sort of the car isn't quick enough to be there. The driver isn't quick enough to be there. That's not good. That's just get out.
To be entertained. I watch sport to be entertained.
And were you not entertained with Austria, with Verstappen stalling on the start line and then still winning the race?
Yeah, that was insane.
Don't get me wrong. That was still amazing. Unfortunately, I was in Spain and couldn't watch the race at the time. But listening to it on 5 Live was very exciting. But I still think just not. It wouldn't have excited me as much as Germany did, to be honest.
But P-Dubs, go on. What's your thoughts on this?
I was going to say I think he's wrong. I was just going to leave it.
Well, I think you're wrong.
Okay. Well, everyone's allowed their own opinion, aren't they? Like, I see it from the point of view from the teams, and like from not Mercedes, but like Red Bull and Merc as well, I guess, and Ferrari. Like, if they're not at the front, they're the ones that spend the money. They have the biggest team. They put the most effort in, hence why they're at the top, right? They kind of deserve to be there, and it's always like, oh, that poor engineer who's, when Bottas crashed out, that poor engineer that has to rebuild that car, and I don't know, I just feel sad about it.
Nah, sod him. give me entertainment. I want to see an entertaining race, and Germany was one of the most entertaining races I've ever seen. So Derek, so to sort of sum up, Derek, you're looking at it from the team perspective.
Well, I'm looking at Silverstone because I was there.
Okay, that as well. But if just looking at it from taking that out of it, you're looking at it from the team perspective. I'm looking at it from the spectator perspective. And Peter, I'm assuming because you were in love with the fight between Verstappen and Leclerc, you're looking at it from the driver's perspective.
That's the one.
Wonderful.
Okay. So we're all coming at it from different aspects, and we all disagree with each other, which I was not expecting in the slightest.
That's good though.
But
that's cool.
I know. It's brilliant. I just wasn't expecting you. I just wasn't expecting to be having to have this massive fight in what was meant to be a really calm section of this video. I thought we were all going to say Germany, and then I'd say, right, thank you for watching, and be sure to check out the worst of 2019. But anyway, we shall ignore what we just said, and we shall end this part of the podcast. This is obviously part 1. If you want to check out the worst of 2019, there will be a link in one of the corners, which I can't remember which one, but it's definitely not that one. So do be sure to check that out, and all that I will say now is goodbye, and Derek and Peter, I hope, will also say goodbye.
So long.
Farewell.
And thanks for all the fish. Goodbye.